Right, it's Tuesday evening. It's 7:05. I'm just cooking myself some dinner. I've got myself a nice piece of steak, a bit of sirloin steak. It's about 7 or 8 ounce steak. I've put some salt on the meat and some oil, and that will, I'm just trying to concentrate, that will just be absorbed into the meat to give it lots of flavour. So I always put the salt in first, then I oil the meat, which I've just done. So it's been oiled. I'm getting mixed up with the pans here. What am I doing? That's wrong. That's wrong. That's right. Okay, so that's the meat prepared. The other pan has asparagus in some water at the moment. Some boiling water I've just poured in, and the ring is turned on. And this pan has the garlic mushrooms with butter as well, just mixed up. And that's just going to simmer in a minute. And I put it back onto a warm ring. I've taken it off the heat for the moment. And the other pan, which is this one here, this is where the steak will go in. That'll be a red hot pan. I'll get it as hot as I can. I've got an electric hob, so you can't really get the heat really intense. But I'll get that as hot as I can. And then I shall put the meat into the dry pan. So the meat has got, as I said before, it's got the salt already in it, which has been absorbed into the meat. And then giving it plenty of flavour, and I'll put some oil on the meat. And another reason for putting the oil on the meat first rather than in the pan is because when you put the oil in the pan, it gets really hot. When you put the meat in, it starts to spit, and you don't get that if you put it on the meat and put the meat into the pan, the dry pan. I cook the meat roughly about a minute and a bit each side. It's quite a thick piece, that one, so it can just do with just over a minute. Then I put some butter in towards the end of it when it's cooking on the last side, and spoon the butter from the pan over the meat. I then take the meat out, put it to one side on the plate. In fact, I'll put it onto my plate that I'm going to be eating my meal from. I also slice it open. I cut it at a 45-degree angle so the meat's all showing. I'll sprinkle some or grind some pepper onto the meat. Let it rest. It'll look quite raw when I take it out first. Let it rest. It'll rest for a while, and it'll come back to how I want it to be. It'll be sort of medium to rare, more rare to medium. And the remaining juice in the pan, which is where the butter is, that I was scooping over the top of the steak while it was cooking, I put a little bit of water from the kettle, a little bit of cold water into the pan. Stir it around. You get a nice little bit of juice, or dew as they call it. I don't know why it's called juice. And that I can pour over the steak that's been sliced, and all that flavour goes in. And then I just get the pepper on the top. And that will be my meal for the evening. See how it turns out. Here's the asparagus bobbling away. Garlic mushrooms simmering. Steak waiting to go into the pan. Butter waiting on the side. So I've got everything just about right now. Almost look professional. Just looking out the window, the weather, it's dry, but my God, it's blowing. I want it to be nice tomorrow. Right, what I'll do in a minute is I'll put the ring on and heat the pan for the steak, get it red hot, or as hot as I can, and then put the steak in. Get that nice sizzling noise going, which I love. I've also got a nice pint of beer here, so I'm drinking that as the dinner's cooking. Cheers. The asparagus is cooked. The mushrooms and the garlic have all done their little bit together, and butter, so that's going to taste really nice. And now I'm going to put the steak into the pan and hear that little sizzle, which you should be able to hear. And as you can see, it doesn't spit because I've put the oil, as I said earlier on, the oil into the meat rather than into the pan. And I didn't know that technique until I saw, I think it was a Jamie Oliver video. Just going to turn it over. Right, timer on, and see how it goes. Yeah, saw his video, and that's why I do that. I'll just put the timer on for a minute each side, and then towards the end whop a little bit of, or a big chunk of butter in there. Never have too much butter. And scoop the butter over the meat as it's cooking still. And then I should put some pepper on it when it's been sliced on the plate, like I said earlier. And I'll spoon the butter over the meat just to give it plenty of flavour. Right, as you can see, the steak is in the pan. I can't tip the pan because I'm using one hand to hold the spoon, but I'm just pouring over the butter that I've put in the bottom of the pan into that. Right, I've got the steak on the plate. I'm now just going to cut it and slice it. Now I'm going to cut through the steak, and it looks quite raw, but after I've cut it, it'll continue to cook and rest. There we are, I've done that. So the meat at the moment is looking very raw in the middle, but it's resting for a while. I'm leaving that for a couple of 3 minutes. And this pan has remaining juice from the steak and the butter. I'm just going to mix it up with the spatula and pour it over the meat. There we have the finished article. Garlic mushrooms with butter, asparagus and the meat, and as you can see now it's continued to cook, so it's not quite as raw as it was. It's medium to rare, more rare than medium, and that now should be absolutely perfect. Now, time to eat.